Hey all, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Julie. I have a master's degree in counseling psychology, so today I am bringing you a video for my Let's Get Clinical series that pertains to mental health. In my Let's Get Clinical series, I educate you on various mental health conditions in regards to their symptoms within the diagnostic criteria of the DSM-V, as well as the prevalence of these conditions and their evidence-based treatment options. The Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders is a text that clinicians and psychologists alike use to diagnose their clients. We recently have spoken on a couple of personality disorders, those being avoidant as well as dependent personality disorder. These personality disorders are in cluster C, which is characterized as anxious and fearful thought pattern disorders. The final cluster C personality disorder that we're going to be discussing is OCPD, or Obsessive-Compulsive Personality Disorder. Yes, you heard that right. This is not OCD. It has some similar overlap, but it is a full-blown personality disorder as opposed to an obsessive and compulsive related disorder. So first off, let's go into the symptoms that are prevalent within OCPD. So obsessive-compulsive personality disorder is defined by the DSM-V as a pervasive pattern or preoccupation with orderliness, perfectionism, and mental as well as interpersonal control at the expense of flexibility, openness, and efficiency, beginning by early adulthood and present in a variety of contexts as indicated by four or more of the following. So we have four or more of the following symptoms, and here we have 8 possible symptoms that could occur within an individual who has this condition. Number 1 is preoccupied with details, rules, lists, order, organization, or schedules to the extent that the major point of the activity is lost. 2, shows perfectionism that interferes with task completion, such as being unable to complete a project because of this person's overly strict standards not being met. 3, they're excessively devoted to work and productivity and tend to exclude leisure activities and friendships. The DSM makes a note here to account for that they're not excluding these leisure activities because there is an economic necessity for them to work more. 4 is over-conscientious, scrupulous, and inflexible about matters of morality, ethics, or values. And the DSM makes another good point here. They mention this cannot be accounted for by cultural or religious identification, because as counselors, especially making diagnoses, we need to make sure that we are being culturally competent. So we're looking at these symptoms and saying, is this a result of a mental health condition, or is this a result of someone's beliefs and personal identity? 5 is unable to discard worn out or worthless objects even when they have no sentimental value. So this sounds sort of similar to hoarding, which makes sense because that's also an obsessive compulsive disorder. 6 is reluctant to delegate tasks or to work with others unless they submit to exactly this person's way of doing things, because individuals with this condition think that the way they do things is right and the absolute best way of doing things. Next, these individuals tend to adopt a miserly spending style toward both themselves and others. Money is viewed to them as something to be hoarded in case of a future catastrophe. And the final symptom pertains to showing rigidity as well as stubbornness. Moving forward, I did find a cool source that differentiated between OCD and OCPD, and I think that is a really important aspect to include here. Some of the points they made were that individuals who have OCD, so obsessive compulsive disorder, which it used to be an anxiety disorder, clinicians, myself included, still consider it that way, but it is characterized as an obsessive compulsive related disorder. Individuals with OCD tend to have insight and are aware that their obsessive thoughts and compulsions are maladaptive, whereas individuals with OCPD think their methods are the best and they do not see an issue. This makes them less likely to seek out treatment than individuals who have OCD. OCD tends to interfere with work, whereas having OCPD can actually enhance someone's work. Individuals with OCPD more so deal with interpersonal difficulties, and although this may be the case for individuals with OCD as well, they are going to deal with some more functionality issues in the realm of work and family. People with OCPD are not always aware that they have a problem because they think their way of life is superior. Finally, loved ones of individuals with OCPD can have a very difficult time if they are in a living situation with an individual like this, because these individuals tend to be very controlling, and this can lead to interpersonal conflict, which makes sense as these interpersonal difficulties are a major issue for people with OCPD. Another important distinction the DSM mentioned was that OCPD traits, when moderately present, are actually considered to be adaptive and don't constitute the diagnosis. Similarly to diagnoses we've spoken of in the past on this channel, we know there must be significant distress or impairment in certain areas of life that really impact functioning and cause distress for the individual. So these OCPD traits cannot make this person's life better. The traits must lead to inflexibility, maladaptive thinking and behaviors, and they must be persistent to cause said distress. Okay, I think we have a general understanding of OCPD at this point. The DSM also makes a point that individuals with anxiety disorders, such as generalized anxiety disorder, social anxiety, and specific phobias, and even OCD, are more likely to develop OCPD. However, the majority of individuals who have OCD do not also have OCPD. Moving forward into prevalence, OCPD is actually considered to be one of the most prevalent conditions in the general population at a prevalence rate of 2.1%, upwards to 7.9%. OCPD tends to be diagnosed twice as often in males than females, according to past research. Finally, there is hope for this condition. There is treatment, even if these individuals are not likely to seek treatment. If they ever so decide to, there are options for them. Since there's a lot of rigidity and inflexible thinking, and evidence-based treatment for this specific personality disorder is going to be CBT, which, if you haven't heard of it before, it's cognitive behavioral therapy. It's a gold standard evidence-based treatment in the mental health field to treat a variety of mental health conditions, but it helps us rigid and flexible thinkers come to terms with that and identify our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, and how all those aspects are interrelated in hopes of reducing our maladaptive behaviors. Also, there is some research that points to psychodynamic therapy being helpful for these individuals, which pertains to going back to someone's childhood and looking at different things that may have occurred back then and how it has shaped and affected the individual now. Beyond that, personally, I'm going to recommend DBT for any mental health condition. I think it's great for regulating emotions, and also the interpersonal effectiveness portion of it would be great for these individuals since they do have interpersonal difficulties. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and I'd love for you to subscribe to my channel as well. You can follow all my social medias. They'll be down below. My Instagram's Julie_counseling. My Twitter, which I've been very active on as of late, is Julie Counseling with no underscore. My coaching Instagram's Julie_coaching. And my Facebook page will be linked down below in the description as well. And I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye, guys.